Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I will call into open session this meeting of the Arlington Independent School District Board of Trustees for February 4th, beginning at 7:14. I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening and joining us. We'll start our meeting with the opening ceremony. Would you please join John Hibbs in leading us with the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. If you would take a moment to silence your cell phones and electronic devices to avoid disruptions to those around you, we'd appreciate that. And now if you would join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. The first item on our agenda is a program or presentation, and our student performance tonight is entering the Sam Houston High School Quartet. Ms. Johnston?
Tonight we are joined by the Sam Houston High School String Quartet under the direction of Les Sellers and Christy Tollefson. The students joining us this evening are Sandra Martinez, who's a senior first violin, Kyra Wiggins, senior second violin, wasn't unable to be here this evening due to some car trouble. Lynn Nguyen, senior viola, Chris Chu, senior cello, and Kelly Martinez, sophomore on the bass. The Sam Houston Texan Orchestra is in its 43rd year. Roz Waldorf was at the helm for the first 40 years of the orchestra, and the orchestra program is currently under the direction of Christy Tollefson and Les Sellers. The orchestra program is experiencing one of its most successful years in decades, with seven students making the all-region orchestras. There are 3 string orchestras and 1 full orchestra. The level of musical achievement and positive energy is extremely high across the program. They are taking a 42-student composite string orchestra to perform at a music festival in New Orleans this April. Tonight they will be performing the 3rd movement of choreography 3 Dances for String Orchestra by Norman Dello Gioio. Dello Gioio composed this piece in 1972 for university and community orchestras, and it has a very distinctive 21st century flair.
students, thank you so much for coming out, and thank you for participating with the orchestra. Your work shows, and we appreciate your time this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now, as our Sam Houston High School String Quartet loads up, we will begin in introducing our High School Student of the Month. We're looking forward to meeting you, Manuel Mendez from the Newcomer Center. Is Principal Strabos here? Right here? There you are. I didn't see you. Okay. Good. Would you please introduce? Thank you. I couldn't see over the wall on that side.
Yeah, no, that was kind of... Good evening. Newcomer Student of the Month, Manuel Mendez. Upon hearing of being selected as our Student of the Month, Manuel was very humbled at the honor. For this and many other reasons, he is liked and respected among both his peers and teachers. Manuel has a well-known work ethic and self-motivation that distinguishes him as a leader and mentor to his classmates. As a model student, he is kind, responsible, and always prepared and ready to help others. When it comes to his academic achievement, Manuel holds himself at a very high standard and is always diligent with his studies, asking questions that go beyond what's being taught. He is conscientious with his work, always reviewing his writing several times before submitting. And if he makes a mistake, he uses it as an opportunity to improve and change what needs to be changed. Having been in the United States for only 6 months, his command of English has grown tremendously because he works at increasing his English vocabulary daily and often asking for help with pronunciation, clarification of meaning. It is not enough for him to do okay. He wants to always do his absolute best. Here is a sampling of what his teachers say about him. He's a hard worker, an impressive young man, and a delight in the classroom. And as if it was not enough for him to do well, he is always ready and willing to help his classmates when they struggle to learn. Outside of school, he plays soccer whenever he gets a chance and plans to join a league soon. He also spends his time caring for his younger brother while his parents work. As his role model, his parents instilled in him the value of education, and he aims to excel, both to make them proud as well as himself. With an already bright future ahead of him, this is surely only the start of many accomplishments to come. We are extremely proud and excited to introduce Manuel as Newcomer Student of the Month.
Thank you so much. Manuel, welcome. We're so glad to have you here this evening. This is quite an honor. We have many thousand students in the Arlington ISD, and 6 or 7 are chosen for this particular acknowledgement. So we know that you are a true standout, and we are very proud of your work. Look forward to hearing anything that you have to say to us as well. Introduce your family and friends that are with you.
Good night. My name is Manuel Mendez. I come with my family, my brother Eric Daniel, my father's Manuel Mendez, my mother Perla, my brother Iker, and my grandma Virginia.
So cute.
When I started school seven months ago, I never dreamed I will be here. I'm very excited to be here because I didn't know any English and I didn't know anyone in this city. I want to thank you for this prestigious award because it is an honor to me to be recognized and to represent my school, Newcomer Center. I'm very glad and excited to receive this important honor. I would like to thank my parents for their guidance and support. Gracias, Papa, Mama. I would also like to thank my teachers at Newcomer Center for their constant support and understanding. Gracias. I feel very fortunate to have both my parents and my teachers supporting me in pursuing my dream of studying engineering. Thank you.
If you could wait a moment, Dr. Cavazos, I would like to come down and have a small presentation for you and take some pictures. And again, congratulations. This is quite an accomplishment. We're very proud of you. Welcome. Family, we know you must be very proud as well. Thank you. Congratulations. You're doing a wonderful job. Thank you. Always a great way to start the meeting, right? And we are moved now to more good news. We will consider administrative appointments. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Sullins. I'd like to recommend that the board appoint the individual discussed in closed session for assistant principal at Shackelford Junior High.
Do we have a motion to approve the administrative appointments?
I move that we accept the administration's appointments.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Hibbs and a second by Ms. Hudson. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All trustees present vote in the affirmative. Mr. Hogg can't be with us this evening for a business trip. Congratulations. And Dr. Cavazos, can you tell us more?
Thank you, President Sullins. The new assistant principal at Shackelford Junior High is Kelly Dowd Smith. Kelly attended Dallas Baptist University to receive her Bachelor of Arts in Education and Dallas Baptist University for her Master of Education in Administration. Most recently, a 7th grade reading and ELA pre-AP teacher at Shackelford Junior High, has also been a professor in the College of Education at DBU, has been a contract professional developer at Region 10, and has been an assistant principal in Keller ISD, and has taught English and pre-AP English at the high school level as well. Kelly, congratulations. Anyone you'd like to introduce?
Thank you. Yes. Well, first of all, President Sullins and board members and Dr. Cavazos, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve as the assistant principal at Shackelford Junior High in the Arlington ISD. I'm looking forward to working with the administration and with the faculty to provide a quality education for our students at Shackelford. And I would like to introduce, this is my husband, Todd Smith, with my children, Libby Jane and Gavin, and they attend Butler Elementary. This is my mother, Candy Dowd, and my father, Dr. Denny Dowd. And then behind them is my brother, Trent Dowd, and his wife, Bethany Dowd, with my 2 nephews. I would also like to recognize Mr. Zahn, the principal at Shackelford, and Mr. Scroggins, the assistant principal at Shackelford, and some of our faculty members that are here. And just once again, I want to tell you how honored I am to receive this position. Thank you.
Thank you. As is our custom, we will ask if you could follow Mr. Kale to the lobby in form of receiving line so each of us could meet with you and welcome you. If the audience would please let the board go first, we'd appreciate that, and we'll take a brief 10-minute break, returning at about 7:38 or when 4 trustees are here. Thank you. I now call this meeting back into order. We do not have any cards for open forum for agenda items this evening, so we will move to our action item A, consider proposal for non-renewal and termination of Juan Carpio.
Madam President, I move to accept the superintendent's recommendation and to propose termination of Juan Carpio's term contract, and further move that the record of this action reflect the following. Before voting on this motion, the board considered a draft of the letter to Juan Carpio proposing the non-renewal of his term contract and termination of employment. The superintendent reviewed with the board the reason or reasons for making his recommendation regarding the employee, and the board considered the reason or reasons and any other information provided by the superintendent, and that by passage of this motion, the board directs the superintendent to prepare for the board president's signature a final notice of proposed termination of employment for Juan Carpio, and ensure that the notice is delivered not later than February 17th, 2016. Directs that the notice of proposed termination of employment include the time limitations and procedure for requesting a hearing before an independent hearing examiner. Directs the board president to notify Eichelbaum, Wardell, Hanson, Powell, and Mel PC of this action, and request that the office to contact and retain an independent attorney on behalf of the board if necessary to advise the board concerning legal matters upon receipt of a recommendation from an independent hearing examiner. Authorizes Eichelbaum, Wardell, Hanson, Powell, and Mel PC to consult with the superintendent to approve the final notice of proposed termination of employment and to take whatever actions are necessary and proper to present the case in support of the proposed termination, and directs that a copy of this motion be attached to the minutes of this meeting and the final notice of proposed termination of employment sent to Juan Carpio.
Thank you. I have a motion by Ms. Hudson
Second.
and a second by Mr. Hibbs. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All trustees present, vote in the affirmative. Thank you. We will move now to our first discussion action item A. Consider schools closed to transfer for the 2016-2017 school year. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Sullins. And this evening, we'd like to discuss and for your approval the schools that we're recommending closed to transfers for this upcoming school year, and then the reasons for those schools to be closed to transfers. Mr. Hill has a presentation.
Yeah. Thank you, and good evening, Board President Sullins, rest of the board, and Dr. Cavazos. Again, we're to discuss schools closed for transfers for the next school year. And we're recommending the schools that are on the screen: Amos Elementary, Bergen Elementary, Foster Elementary, Goodman Elementary, Morton Elementary, McNutt Elementary, Larson, Ellis, Sherritt, and Peach Elementaries to be closed for new transfers for the 16-17 school year. Again, this recommendation comes as a result of most recent drawn boundaries, and we would like for all of those schools to not have to deal with transfers for that first year after the boundary process has been established, and so we would make that recommendation. Recommending no secondary schools be closed to transfers at all, no junior highs or no high schools, only the previously mentioned elementary schools be closed for transfers. Again, we would have, after staffing and projections, we would go and look at what the capacity would be for the other campuses and then set those numbers, but we're not recommending any other secondary schools be closed to transfers. And at this point, we'll take any questions that you may have about this.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Are there trustees with questions? Dr. Rush.
I don't have a question. I would just, seeing this as discussion action, I would make, I guess I would move that we accept the staff's recommendation on closing those schools named to transfers.
Thank you, Dr. Rush. Second?
I will second that motion.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion by Dr. Rush and a second by Ms. Walton. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hill, and we have the school set to begin the next part of our next action item, I believe.
Yes.
Which is the discussion B. Consider revisions to board policy FDA local admissions inter-district transfers and board policy FDB local admissions intra-district transfers and classroom assignments. Dr. Cavazos?
Thank you, President Sullins. And this evening, we'd like to, in addition to what was just approved, discuss our transfer priorities for the upcoming school year. And we've looked at this, had a discussion with the committee, and also opportunity for us to perhaps make a revision to this policy. Mr. Hill.
Okay. So what we have on our screen now is the current priority or transfer request priority on the left. We have those 5 categories, and the recommendation for discussion and potential action this afternoon is to move to the priorities that are on the right of the screen and giving students of employees priority 1 regarding transferring into a school where there's space available. Currently, there's students of resident full-time employees, followed by residents, followed by non-resident full-time employees. We would like to combine the efforts for the employees and make them priority 1, followed by the residents, and then students within the city of Arlington, not in AISD, and then students not residing in AISD, and that priority. Rationale behind this request is it's our ability and working with HR to recruit and retain employees who may want to bring their children into the AISD, and the ability to compete with some of our neighboring districts who have this this priority or this opportunity for their employees. What you'll see here is a red line version of our current policy that would enact or make actual what the request is. Again, there is a better or more readable version in your packet, but in essence it strikes some language and it adds some language to make sure that we are consistent with what we're recommending here. Then that's FDA local, dealing with inter-district transfers, FDB local, dealing with intra-district transfers.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
All right.
Is that, oh, hang on, recommendation.
That's
Okay,
it.
yep.
And we recommend that you approve the revisions to the policy that reflect the new priorities, and so we'll take for discussion now.
All right, thank you. Dr. Reich?
I can leave this if there is discussion, but I would, at this point, I would move that we accept the administration's recommendation on the repriority.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Reich.
I will second that motion.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion by Dr. Reich and a second by Ms. Walton. I don't see lights with trustees with other questions at this time or any other discussion. Seeing none, please vote. All right, thank you. The motion carries that all trustees vote in the affirmative. And Mr. Hill, thank you very much for the time and attention that you spend every year with boundaries and transfers and making sure that we have access for all students. We appreciate your work and your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next on our agenda is items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda. Are there any items to be withdrawn? Ms. Walton?
Thank you, President Sullins. Yes, could we please set aside item E as an echo for separate consideration?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Walton. We will move on and consider the consent agenda absent consent item E. And Ms. Powell?
President Sullins, board members, Dr. Cavazos, the donations that were presented to you for consideration this evening total $79,781, and that brings our year-to-date total to $505,577. And we have 4 bids on the agenda this evening, and in all cases we're recommending the lowest bids and the bids that represent the best value to the district.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Powell. As always, we appreciate the generosity of the community with donations, and I appreciate you covering that also with the during our break so that people can see more information about that. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda item with the exception of consent agenda item E?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Ms. Hudson and a second by Dr. Reich. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. The consent agenda minus item E passes. And we will now move on to consent item E. Ms. Walton.
Thank you, President Sullins. Yes, this was something that came through the Finance Committee, and we have looked at it very carefully, and there's a resolution tonight that I would like to present, a resolution changing the committed portions of the June 30th, 2016 Capital Projects Fund balance. Whereas the Government Accounting Standards Board GASB. Statement 54, Standard for Governmental Fund Balance Reports and Government Fund Types definition, states that fund balance of a governmental entity may be committed for a specific purpose by formal action of the entity's governing body, that would be us. And whereas AISD Board of Trustees, the board, implements GASB 54 requirements beginning with the 2011 fiscal year, and whereas Board Policy CE Local defines the categories of governmental fund balance set forth in the GASB 54, and whereas on April the 18th, 2011, the board previously committed portions of its August 31st, 2011 capital projects fund balance as follows. 1, local construction fund rebates received pursuant to the agreement between the City of Grand Prairie and the AISD to participate in the City of Grand Prairie Tax Increment Financing District, TIF number 2, and accounted for in its local construction funds are committed for construction and/or operation of school facilities within the TIF zone as permitted by the agreement. And 2, local construction fund revenues and other resources generated through transactions other than bond issues and TIF rebates accounted for in the local construction fund, and earnings on investments of the fund are committed for capital projects to be approved by the Board of Trustees. And whereas the City of Grand Prairie closed TIF number 2 in 2015 because all TIF number 2 planned projects were completed as of September 2015, and whereas the board elects to change the committed portion of the June 30, 2016 capital projects fund balance related to the City of Grand Prairie TIF number 2, and instead commit those funds for capital projects to be approved by this Board of Trustees. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the AISD that Section 1, the district commits portions of its June 30th, 2016 capital projects fund balance as follows. Local construction fund, revenues and other resources generated through transactions other than bond issues accounted for in the local construction fund, and earnings on investments of the fund are committed to capital projects to be approved by the Board of Directors.
I second what Miss Polly
Thank
Walton
you.
so eloquently just read.
Yes, I'm sorry. I should
And I second.
preface that by saying, so moved. Well, now, I could try it maybe with a Seuss version, but,
No, thank you very
That might
much,
take a little more
Ms.
time.
Walton, for your motion. We have a second by Mr. Hibbs. Mr. Eichelbaum, I have a question. Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Walton and a second by Mr. Hibbs. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Thank you very much. All trustees vote in the affirmative. The motion carries. Thank you. Next, we move to what would ordinarily be our open forum for non-agenda items. Ms. Benjamin, can I confirm that, do we have any cards this evening? We do not have cards. Very good. So then we move straight into the superintendent's report. Dr. Cavazos?
Thank you, President Sullins. I'd like to share some information since our last board meeting about our school district. First, several of us were able to attend the Texas Association of School Administrators Midwinter Conference. Stephen Wirtz and myself, we presented on a session related to our Emerging Leaders Program. And we appreciate the opportunity to share this with other districts throughout the state and the things that we've learned from our Emerging Leaders Program and the way we're implementing it. It was well-received and well-attended session. We had a successful parent university, and it was this one was in partnership with Destination Success this last weekend. Bringing these two events made it even more valuable for parents and students in our district. There were college planning sessions, a community fair, and a college fair. This was a free event, and I'd like to thank Aaron Perales and all of Sam Houston's staff and that was able to join us. That's State Representative Chris Turner. U.S. Representative Mark Vesey also stopped by later that day. And so very proud of the students and parents who took advantage of this great opportunity, our parent university and destination success. Saturday had the honor of passing and presenting medals to the academic decathlon regional competition. It was hosted at Lamar High School. The Arlington High School ACDEC team won first place for the 5th consecutive year. They will compete in the state academic decathlon competition the end of February. The students pictured there had a lot of medals. They get some for every event that they win, and so they were very, very successful. And I want to congratulate all the students that participated from all our high schools on the academic decathlon. Earlier this week, the Education Foundation awarded more than $95,000 in grant money to AISD teachers. The Prize Patrol was out awarding grants related to STEM projects, literacy lounges, band programs, and much, much more. We certainly appreciate the Education Foundation and their generosity and their commitment to the teachers and the students of this district. So thank you to the Education Foundation group. On Wednesday morning, many of you were able to join us for a signing event. More than 75 AISD student athletes were on hand for our annual district-wide National Signing Day at our PDC. The students have excelled not only academically, but in athletics, and they have a bright future with a college degree, in pursuing a college degree as well. They represent our high schools and our students exceptionally well. I'm very proud of the students that were able to meet this requirement, this standard. Wednesday, we also had our Area 7 and Area 8 Spelling Bee here at the administration building. And so I want to thank all the students and their parents, because it's certainly a joint effort in that, who participated and competed. Congratulations to Jason from Key Elementary, who was our Area 7 winner. Michaela from Corey was the runner-up. Area 8 was Hope from Bowles Junior High. She was the winner, and Haley from Pope, who was the runner-up as well. Good luck to the students moving to the regional spelling bee March 2nd at TCU. Finally, I hope and invite everyone to take an opportunity to look at our student artwork that's all around this building in preparation for Youth Art Month. This celebrates a month of visual arts for grades K through 12, emphasizing art for all in our school district, and the opportunity for our students to display their artwork that they've done will also be at the Arlington Museum of Art in February and March and part of April. There will be receptions to recognize outstanding students for their artwork. Congratulations to all of these talented students. This is a sample of the artwork, and it's all around our building. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Cavazos. Are there school board members with reports? Ms. Mays?
Thank you. Good evening. One thing I'd like to say this evening is Happy Counselors Week. We always want to celebrate our counselors. They often seem to be in the background, but the amount of work, the inspiration, the support, the guidance that they give our students are so hugely appreciated. And even with our Student of the Month that we celebrated earlier today, it just makes me think that there are absolutely no excuses when there's something you want to do. And I appreciate that our counselors are part of our education that helps to give that inspiration to our students. So happy Counselors Week to all of our counselors. Also, with that being said, this is Black History Month. So I hope that everybody takes an opportunity to celebrate that, to learn something about Black history. It is Black History Month, but Black history is American history. So hopefully it's something that's celebrated year-round, but the calendar marks for this particular month. So as y'all know, I always have favorite quotes. So one of my quotes for Black History Month is, "The only thing that should be separated by color is your laundry."
Amen. Yeah. Well said. Well said, Ms. Mays. Ms. Walton.
Thank you, Ms. Sellens. I just want to encourage everyone out there. One of my first loves after libraries is the music world, and we're starting into the season where lots of choirs and orchestras and bands and all of our wonderfully talented kids are starting to do performances to show off their talents. So just we've heard from Tony Worley at Lamar. Susical, the musical, is opening this weekend. So if you want a good show, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Lamar High School. And then I also want to wish a very happy Valentine's to all of our staff and administrators and teachers and everyone out there that works so hard. February can kind of be a hard month in this business, and I just want all of those folks to know how much we love you and how much we appreciate all you do to heap love and attention on all of our students. So happy Valentine's to everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Walton. Mr. Hibbs?
First, for a wrap-up, in our dinner meeting, Ms. Hudson asked specifically if we could look at the inter-district transfers and priority of listing. Do you want that to be directed from here for the administration to do, or do you want to take it from your committee?
I think the administration.
Okay, so that's on the list, okay? So if we can follow on that one, I'll take it off my list then. A couple of quick things I want to just give you some shout outs about the district. Pat Dunn, who is our Martin High School wrestling coach, is going to be inducted in Houston in 2 weeks to the UIL Hall of Fame, Texas Hall of Fame wrestling, as the wrestling coach there. John Ivan, he just celebrated his 50th district swimming championship.
Wow.
So he's been doing both women's and men's swimming programs for several of the schools that he falls under. 50 district championships. That's unheard of. He's only been coaching for 23 years. No, quite a few. Today they had the district wrestling championships at Bowie. I want to thank Mr. Manley and Danny DeArmond for hosting such a great event. National Signing Day. One of the extraordinary things there was just, it was over 59 schools and universities that our kids are going to, 75 students. Probably the sweetest gig of them all was Taryn Leonid, and she's going to Cal State Monterey on a golf scholarship. So there's no bumps or bruises there. The only thing she can get is a sunburn. Pretty exciting. I want to echo what the Education Foundation did, what they did this year in giving the number of grants and what they've been able to do with that program over the last 2 years is absolutely amazing. And then finally, the board was able to do something pretty special, and that was for the Aware Foundation. And we received a card from the Aware Foundation that I'd like just to read and have it into our minutes. It says, Dear Arlington School Board, thank you all very much for the plaque that was presented to the Aware Foundation. We appreciate President Sullins, Dr. Aaron Reich, and Mr. Hibbs taking time out of their busy schedules to deliver the plaque to our monthly meeting. We look forward to many more years of honoring Arlington's finest. Thank you, Weta Garner. That's my report.
Nice. Thank you, Mr. Hibbs. That's an awful lot of early morning swim practices. So, Ms. Hudson.
So this year has gotten off to a really fun start. We started off with the whole Martin Luther King Jr. celebration weekend. The awards banquet was really inspiring, and I got to take my oldest son to the step competition, which he absolutely loved, just almost as much as I did. We had a really good time at that. Got to attend my first National Signing Day. That was very exciting. Such a really encouraging thing as a parent of young children to see parents who have done so well with their children, and their children are so motivated to have accomplished that. It was a really special day, and Keisha had somebody, her Robbie Jr. up there, so congratulations, Keisha. Really special moment. I was glad to be able to be there for it. And there's something else I'm forgetting that I can't remember where I went. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hudson. It's been a very, very busy semester already. You're right, and a lot of great activities. I was glad that we were able to recognize on behalf of you all the great work of the Aware Foundation together, and certainly the Education Foundation. What a remarkable job you have done. We look at not only the number of gifts that you give, but the caliber. When I see that we have students now able to explore earthquake engineering and Lego robotics, I'm very excited for the future of AISD. So thank you very much, Education Foundation. So with that, we now will move into the next section of our meeting this evening. And the next item on the agenda is to consider the employee grievances of Leo Yanez and Hector Negrete. The board will now close this meeting under the authority of Texas Government Code Section 551.074 and 551.071 for the purpose of hearing an employee's complaint regarding wages, hours, and condition of employment. I ask that everyone who is not a party to these hearings or who is not going to participate in the hearings to now exit the boardroom. I thank you for your cooperation. It is now 9:41 p.m. on February 4th, 2016. Do I hear a motion with regard to Mr. Yanez?
Madam President, I move to uphold the Level 2 decision by the administration of Leo Yanez.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Hibbs and a second by Ms. Hudson. Any further discussion? Please vote. The motion carries with all trustees voting in the affirmative to uphold the Level 2 decision of the administration. Do I hear a motion in regard to Mr. Negrete?
President Sullins, I move that we uphold the administration's Level 2 decision regarding Hector Negrete.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Reich and a second by Ms. Mays. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All trustees vote in the affirmative to uphold the Level 2 decision of the administration. Having no other business tonight, this board meeting is now closed.